Alright, somebody wanted a video on how to actually change the belt on these 1.8 liter Passats and Audis. When you get the front of your car tore down, your motor's going to look pretty much something like this, with the exception of you're still going to have your water pump, your fan, which I actually, got enough parts out that I can show you, relatively where everything is going to be. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure this motor is at top dead center. And the way you line it up is I will show you in depth. Here, right there. All right. You look right on the top of your crankshaft, your timing belt cover, there's going to be an arrow. And right on the top of that pulley is a small little mark. Okay? You want to rotate this motor around until those two line up. And then on your camshaft, you're going to have a small line right there. You want to rotate that around to the top of the valve cover and make sure that's lined up. So when you got this at number 1 on the crankshaft, this one should be lined up at the top. This one doesn't, because I just threw this together real quick to show you. So this is going to be lined up here, okay? And this one's going to be lined up down here. Now, we're doing this on the assumption that your motor runs good and you just want to do the maintenance of changing the belt. If you take your car apart and this is lined up down here, and this is off like this one is here, 99% chance you've ruined the head, okay? Because this belt was loose and it slipped, or it broke. Somebody put it on wrong. But anyways, we'll just do the replacement as strictly a maintenance procedure. Okay. So you've got this lined up down here at the bottom. Let me try and get you where you can see it really good here. So you've got this lined up here at the bottom. What you're going to do is there's 4 bolts in here that hold this on. They're Allen heads, metrics. This just comes off. There's no keyway. It's just a crankshaft pulley. It has a notch or a hole. There's 3 holes right here. This is a bolt. Whoops. This is a bolt here, and this is actually a dimple on the crankshaft. So you can't put this on wrong. Just make sure you have this center hole on that dimple, okay? Now you've got the crankshaft lined up. Take the cover off. Do not touch anything else. Go, see this hole right here? This is what I do. So you don't have to keep taking the cover on and off, okay? See this hole right here? Take the cog that lines up with the center of that hole, put a small mark in that, and put a small mark right in the center of this hole in this bottom piece of aluminum. So you can look at this and reference that you're still top dead center here without putting the cover back on and the pulley back on and then taking it back apart. You can always look and you can see I had it at top dead center. This one lines up with that hole. So put your small mark with a punch or a white paint marker, and then a white paint marker or a small punch right there. Then once you do that, put the cover back on, put your pulley back on, just hold it there. Make sure you're on your dimple and make sure you're still lined up, and then you know for sure you're lined up here. Okay. That's just getting the belt part done. I want to back up a second. When you are taking the front of the motor apart, you're going to have a fan hub that looks like this, okay? The bolt for this fan hub is in the back of it. There's another bracket that's on here. And I'll show you on my car where this is. But you're going to have to go from behind this bracket with an Allen head. Make sure you hold on to this or even leave the belts on. And this will usually come right loose. Once this comes loose, you take this bolt out. The fan hub comes off. And then the water pump, if you're going to do the timing belt, do the water pump, okay? It's another $50. You have to take it down this far to do the water pump if you're going to redo it anyways. buy a new water pump. Don't buy a rebuilt. This is going to be on the car still like this. As you notice, this big pulley here is in the way. This pulley comes off, okay? What you're going to do, we're going to get back to that here in a minute. I'm just showing you how things come apart. The thing that kind of boggles everybody with these cars is how in the hell do you adjust the power or the water pump belt? Okay, there is no adjustment. You take these 3 bolts out of the front of the water pump pulley. It's 2 pieces like a snowmobile clutch. Okay, you take this piece off here, then you take the belt off. You put the belt on the same way. You put the belt on the pulley, put it on here, put the belts on, or put the pulley on, put the bolts in loose, turn it as you tighten it to make the belt ride up to the top. Okay? Real simple. Okay. Now we've got the motor tore down here. We make sure our timing marks are lined up. And if you watched one of my other videos, I told you about the timing kit. This is an old style tensioner. It's got this little ball and socket thing. Okay? This one here is a really pain in the ass to use. If you have this type, throw it out and buy what they call a kit. The kit will come with this, a new tensioner, which is this is a new style tensioner, and you'll get a belt. It's about $185. I order all of my parts from a place called AutoHauz, HAUZ.com. AutoHAUZ.com. You know, you can type in all your information and hunt down timing belt, and it'll sell you a kit. If you buy a kit, you won't need to know how many teeth is on your belt. If you buy just a belt, there's 3 belts. 150, 152, and 153 tooth belt. You have to count each one of these teeth. And it's a pain in the ass because you don't know, well, do I count this one again or what? Buy the kit because you're going to need to upgrade it anyways. So we're going to take the belt. We're going to make sure everything's lined up, okay? To make sure you don't screw nothing up, disconnect the battery so nobody accidentally gets in and bumps the car over while you got the belt off. You're going to go ahead and take your tensioner off. You're going to pull your belt off, okay? Throw this thing in the garbage. Next thing you're going to want to do is the water pump. I forgot what size this thing is. It's like a 20 or a 21. Hit it with an impact real quick. It spins right off. It doesn't matter if it turns. It's not critical to line anything up. What this is this motor was used in a carbureted setup at one time with a distributor. So this is actually the distributor and oil pump drive gear. They just have the distributor hole blocked off with a cap. So this is your oil pump. So get your belt off, pound that off real quick, and that pulley will look like this. It just has a keyway in it. It'll wiggle right off. If it doesn't come off, say real easy because you know it's cold out or something, you can warm this up with a handheld torch for just 30 seconds and this will pop right off. Tap it back on with a wooden mallet. Make sure it's recessed one way different. And I'm trying to think. Okay, all of the lettering goes facing forward, okay? So if you put it on like that, that's wrong. It has to be facing you this way with the bolt here, okay? Take that pulley off. The only thing you got to do for your water pump is just a bunch of 10mm bolts. You can see them right there. It's just a bunch of 10mm bolts. It'll come with a steel gasket. If you want to put a thermostat, 2 10mm bolts, and here's your thermostat housing, which is down. You know, you'll have to probably either crawl up under the car to do this because this will be pointing straight down. If you want to drain the antifreeze out of this, it has a plug in it, so you don't pull this off and dump your antifreeze all over the driveway. Put your new water pump on, snug these bolts up. Okay, you got that changed, you got your water pump on, you put your pulley back on, put a little Loctite on that bolt, pound the bolt back in with an impact real quick, or as tight as you can get it with a ratchet. There's a bolt down here at the bottom. You could jam a screwdriver in here to hold it. in either direction. Okay, new tensioner. You're going to take your tensioner. Well, actually, I'll do this. I'll put the belt on and we'll show you the procedure for putting the belt on. What I like to do, make sure you're lined up at the top here. I'm pointing up there, but you can't see. Make sure you're lined up here at the top. Okay, let me move this up a little. Put your belt on the top, okay? Bring it down here. You know, pull it kind of snug. Put it down here. Wrap it around the bottom. Okay? Now, this may take you a couple of times to do this. It always takes me a couple of times because it's doing just like it is right now. It wants to pop off one end and stay on the other. What you can do to make your life a little easier is get you some big metal paper clips. Clip the top of the belt to the pulley, pull it down here, clip it. Then you can wrap it around here. Okay, you got your tensioner. We got our belt on. Now your timing marks are lined up still, right? But you got a lot of slop right here. What is more than likely going to happen when you put your tensioner on, you take all the slack out of the back side of the belt, you're going to be off a tooth advanced. Or I'm sorry, a tooth retarded. So all you do, take it back off, make sure you're still lined up at the bottom. Whichever one moved, it'll be the bottom or the top that moved. Pull the thing a little bit clockwise, maybe a half a tooth clockwise, okay? Put your belt back on, put your tensioner back on, and then when you roll this back counterclockwise to get the timing mark lined up, you have taken the slack out of this that you need to. Okay, now we have this on. Put your tensioner on. Okay, we got our tensioner on, put your nut on it. If you buy the new kit, it will come with just a bolt. Now, our timing marks are lined up. The tensioner just has 2 bolts in it. It has 2 bolts that hold it on. And you can see the plunger has a pinhole in it. And there's a hole right here, okay? This is going to be pushed down, and there's going to be a pin in here. It's going to be like a pull clip for a grenade. Leave that in there, okay? Put your timing tensioner on. What I would do is put a lot of tension on this thing. See why this one's not worth a crap? I've got it tensioned all the way up and it's hitting. Put all the tension you can. I'm going to put the tension this way. And what you do, like that, you took the slack out of the belt. This is all the tension that this belt has to have. You see me pulling on that tensioner? That's too much tension. I'm going to show you how to fix that. But while you got it right here, make sure your timing marks are still lined up. If they moved one way or the other, you'll have to take this back off, adjust them, put them back, until you get it to where you can pull this slack out right and it's lined up. Once the slack is out, let go of that. That's still tight, okay? Put your tensioner on, pull the pin out, let it snap up. Tighten this up one more time, take the slack out of it, leave it alone. Tighten that center bolt down. You don't have to do anything else. This thing will keep the tension preloaded on that belt. And the belt rides on the outside of this thing here, just like that, okay? You can see the wheel is on, the belt's on the outside of that wheel. Once you've got those on, make sure your timing marks are lined up. And I mean, you just got to keep checking, keep checking, keep checking. Put a 12-point socket on the crankshaft, rotate it over, probably 2 or 3 times. Line your timing marks back up. Make sure they go all the way around 2 or 3 times until the marks line up. Once you're satisfied, man, this is like a long video. Once you're satisfied that your marks are lined up, you got everything tight, you haven't had to touch the cam bolt, you haven't had to touch the crank bolt other than turning the motor over. You got that snug, you got the water pump on, a new thermostat in it if you were going to do a thermostat. Put your cover on. Okay? There's a bolt there, there's a bolt here, there's a bolt there. a bolt here in the center, and a bolt on the outside that goes to the water pump. There. Put that on. Remember the crankshaft, there's a dimple in this bottom pulley. Okay? I'm on the dimple. Look at the cover, look at the crankshaft. Are my marks still lined up? Yes. Look up here. Are your marks still lined up? Yes. Keep going. Put your 4 bolts in here. Okay? Put all your cover bolts on. You can put the top cover on if you want to now. You got your water pump on, you got it all bolted up, you got your tensioner on. Then you just put it back together backwards. Put your clutch fan back on, put your belt back on the water pump, which is going to be about this big around. It's a dinky little belt. The only other thing, you know, I would suggest doing to the car, maintenance-wise, on the back of the head is one of these things here. Heater hose plugs into the back of this one. The top radiator hose goes into this, comes around to the front of the motor. Temperature sensor goes in this hole. These are notorious for leaking. There's an O-ring. See how wide these ears are? They flex, the O-ring gets hard, and it'll drip antifreeze behind the engine. If yours is leaking at all, you can get this at Auto Haas, $3.50. I'm not kidding. I won't even reuse an old one because they're so cheap. You got a clip that looks like a big hairpin clip that clips in here that holds the sensor in, or if you have another sensor, this one won't. This one will be plugged if you don't have a sensor. Water pump or the heater hose, you just push the clip in and pull it off, like I showed you in another video. 2 10mm bolts here that you can get from up top with a 6-inch extension. And you pull there's an O-ring in here too, replace that O-ring. Just remember, if you buy anything from Auto Haas, if you buy $50, it's free shipping. If you buy $49 worth of stuff, it's $17 to ship. Spend an extra $1 is like getting $15 worth of free parts, if you understand what I'm saying. Don't ever buy $5 worth of stuff from them because it's going to cost you $15 for shipping. This sensor is like $90 at Volkswagen. It's $13 at Auto Haas. You either got a 4-pin or a 2-pin. You pull the clip off of it, look at it, it'll be 4 2 pins. If you buy that clip or buy the sensor, it's, like I said, I think $12 or $13, $15 shipping. So I would buy this, I'd buy another one of these, I would buy a couple fan belts if you need fan belts, but you're going to buy this kit from them anyways. This is going to cover your shipping because it's $185. So, you know, just buy a few knickknacks that you think you're going to need. It isn't going to cost you another $20. There isn't much that go wrong with these that tears the car up other than that timing belt. I mean, I can't even explain it. When the timing belt goes out, it just tears the motor all to shit. It's not really I wouldn't say it's not a good design, but it's just the way it is designed. It's what they call an interference motor, which means if the timing belt breaks, everything is going to interfere with the valve train. If it's a non-interference motor, you can bust the timing belt and not do any damage. Not this, you're not going to have that luck with this motor. But anyways, if you have any more questions, let me know. I've done a bunch of these. I can't even count how many of these things I've done. There is no shortcut to get, you have to tear the front of the car down. I have done them and just tipped the core support down and kind of worked over everything, but it ends up being a pain. You're tripping on stuff, you'll drop a wrench on the radiator, and I did that and busted a $150 radiator. So I don't do them like that anymore. I see a guy on the internet where he just pulled the core support out, left he stuck a pipe in where the shock bolts or the shock bumper shocks go in. He stuck two 2-foot long pieces of pipe in them holes and just slid that core support out and kind of wedged it out of the way with a block of wood. You can do that, but the thing I don't like about it is you've only got about, say, 7 inches from here to the front of the engine. You can't see down here real well. You're working with a mirror. My experience is 2 more hours worth of work will guarantee this is right. Pull it out here to save 2 hours. There's an 80% chance this is going to be right, okay? I won't never do one like that. I mean, I would if I was in a bind, but, you know, just, I would take the core support off like I show you in the videos. It's not hard. I've actually got it to where I can have it off the car and have the car down to this state in an hour. It doesn't pay, I think, but about 6 hours at the dealership to do it, 6 or 8. It's 14 hours to do an engine in one of these. Just pull a block out, put another one in. I can do them in a day. You know, you just learn after you do so many of them. There's actually 2 good heads sitting right here that I got to have redone. Those 2 right there are 2. That's an ATW and an ATB head. The only difference is one's got an EGR valve and one don't. This is an ATW or an ATE. ATW, I believe. AEB, I'm sorry. It's an AEB block or head. But anyways, that's about all I got for today. I'll go upload this video for you. Like I said, if you need more help, message me and I'll help you the best I can. Okay, on the 2003s, these grill pieces, they all pop out. Okay, there's not, I don't think there's anything holding them in on mine. They just, on the driver's side, it goes from the driver's side corner 3/4 of the way across the front to there. Okay, that's one, and then the one on the passenger side is just this big. So you got 2 pieces. On the 2003, I think there's a bolt that goes up from in here to the bumper cover. Okay, check that. You can leave the headlights in, leave the grill. If you're not sure, get a camera, take pictures, videotape how you take it apart. You do have to take the hood latch out, 3 10mm bolts, because the hood latch cable, you know, runs to that. When you pull this off, it's going to be hanging. All of these plugs here are for your cooling fans, your AC compressor. Just unplug them all right here. And this is what I was saying about the bolt for the fan hub here. See if I get my finger down here. Right down here is where you put your socket in to get the fan hub off. And the water pump thermostat is down underneath there, like I was telling you before. And that's about all I can think of. Like I said, take pictures. Take a lot of pictures. Just, you know, take them just to, you know, make sure you got everything covered so that you can refer back to, you know, how you took it apart, how things go. If you want to tape everything up, you know, and mark 1, 2, 3, 4, you can do that. Come here, dinky dog. Huh? Get him.